After my mother passed, I spent weeks cleaning her house. It was quiet, painful work. One day, I noticed my childhood swing set was gone. Our neighbor had it in his backyard. I walked over, shaking, and said, "That was my mother's. My dad built it with her." He looked at me and said, "Then you should have taken better care of it." I called the police. He claimed he was preserving history. The next day, I found her ashes, gone from the shelf. He said he took them for safekeeping. What I did next ended with him screaming in handcuffs. When my mom died, something in me cracked. She was the only family I had left. I don't mean that in some sappy way. I mean that literally. My dad died 5 years ago. I'm an only child. No aunts, no cousins I talked to. It was just her and me. I took a leave from my job in Charlotte and drove down to her place in Roswell, Georgia. She'd lived in that house for the last 15 years, ever since she married Carl. He passed from lung cancer 2 years back. Quiet guy. Not really a dad to me, but he treated Mom well. That was enough. The house felt haunted, and not by ghosts, by her. Her slippers were by the back door. Her gardening gloves were still wet from the morning dew. She died just outside, near her favorite flower bed. Heart attack, the coroner said. She didn't suffer. The urn with her ashes was set on a small shelf in the living room, like a shrine. She always liked peace. A tiny indoor water fountain trickled beside her. A candle she used to light during storms. That was her spot. I promised myself I'd find a better place for the urn once I was ready. Cleaning out the house was torture. Every item I touched felt like it had weight. I kept stopping, holding her close to my face. I wasn't sleeping much. I'd forget to eat. On the 3rd week, I was sitting on the porch steps when I realized something was missing. Something big. The backyard looked off. I stood up, walked down the porch stairs, and stared at the back fence. The swing set was gone. My chest went tight. My dad built that swing set for me when I was 7. Back when he and Mom still talked, still loved each other. It had faded red paint, a crooked ladder, and 2 swings. One of them had a cracked seat I refused to let anyone fix. It was mine. Even after they divorced, that swing set stayed. It moved with us twice. Mom refused to leave it behind. It was one of the few things that tied her to that old life. I checked the yard, thinking maybe the wind knocked it over. Maybe some crew came and hauled it off. But then I looked to the right. My neighbor's yard. There it was. My swing set. Same chipped red paint. Same initials on the side, M+R. My dad carved that one afternoon while drinking iced tea in the sun. Mom called it their second honeymoon. I was shaking. I walked over, heart pounding. Didn't even think about what I'd say. Dave answered when I knocked. Late 60s. Retired. Lived alone. Used to wave at me when I visited my mom. Always seemed polite, but distant. I didn't waste time. That swing set in your yard, that was my mom's. My dad built it for me. He didn't flinch. Didn't even look guilty. He said, "Then you should have taken better care of it." Just like that. No apology. Like I'd left a piece of junk out in the rain and he rescued it. "You took it," I said. My voice cracked. "You went onto her property and stole it." "She didn't need it," he said, shrugging. "Thought I'd keep it from rotting. I'm preserving it." I turned and walked away before I said something I'd regret. I called the police from the porch. 2 officers came. They talked to him, talked to me. He gave some line about it looking abandoned and being part of the community. Said he thought it was going to be thrown out. I told them about the initials. About the photos I had of me on it when I was a kid. They said it was a civil matter. If I wanted it back, I'd have to take him to small claims court. I felt sick. I couldn't believe this was happening. The next morning, I woke up and something felt wrong. The urn was gone. I ran to the shelf. The fountain was still there. The candle. But the urn with my mom's ashes, gone. I tore through the house. Living room, bathroom, kitchen, bedroom. I was on my knees looking under furniture. I checked the trash, the garage, every closet. Nothing. Then I saw him. Dave. In his driveway. Arms crossed, smirking. I walked over, slow at first. Then faster. "Where is it?" I said. "Where's what?" he asked, real casual. "My mother's ashes." "Where are they?" He didn't even try to lie. "I took them. For safekeeping," he said. "Didn't want them to get knocked over while you're here, stressing out." I felt my stomach turn. "You stole my mother," I said. He laughed. "I'm protecting her," he said. I was already calling the police. The police came again. Same officer as before, Officer Delaney. He looked tired before he even stepped out of the car. I was standing at the curb when they pulled up. I didn't even wait for him to ask. "He took my mother's ashes," I said. He admitted it. Dave stood behind his fence, arms folded like this was all beneath him. Delaney walked over, calm as ever. "Mr. Henley," he said. "Is this true?" Dave didn't blink. "I moved the urn. For her safety. Thought it might fall. The shelf wasn't stable." "She wasn't your mother," I snapped. "You don't get to touch her." "I was trying to help," he said, with this smug smile. "Some people just don't know how to handle grief." I started shaking. Officer Delaney turned to me. "Did you see him take the urn?" "No," I admitted. "But it's gone, and he just said he took it." "I need more than that," he said. "If he says he moved it for safekeeping, and there's no damage, no evidence of intent to harm, he took her. I understand. But the law's the law." I couldn't believe it. Twice now, he'd stolen from me, first the swing set, now my mother, and both times, he walked away untouched. After the cops left, I paced the house for an hour, trying to calm down. But something inside me had changed. I wasn't going to take this lying down. I started watching Dave. Every time he left his house, every time he pulled out his trash bins, I was there. Watching. Waiting. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked the neighborhood around midnight, just trying to breathe. That's when I noticed his garage light was on. The door was open about a foot. I walked up slow, heart pounding, sneakers crunching soft on gravel. Inside, stacked neatly on a plastic folding table, were several boxes. And right there, front and center, my mom's urn. Wrapped in a towel. I snapped a photo. Then another. Then I left. I printed the photos the next morning. Took them to the precinct. Spoke to someone else this time, Officer Ramirez. Younger, more alert. He took one look at the pictures and his face changed. "You say he took this without your permission?" He admitted it to Officer Delaney. Said he was keeping her safe. Ramirez tapped his pen on the desk. "That's evidence of unlawful removal of remains. If you're willing to sign a statement, we can move forward." "I'll sign whatever you want." 2 hours later, they showed up with a warrant. I was standing across the street when they knocked on Dave's door. He came out, still wearing that same stupid smirk, until they pulled out the papers and told him they had the right to search his garage. He tried to argue. Said it was a mistake. Said he was being targeted. Then they opened the garage. And I'll never forget his face when they found the urn. Or the way his voice cracked when they cuffed him. He screamed. "This is insane. I was helping her." He kicked at one of the boxes, knocked over a lawn chair, fought the cuffs until the second officer shoved him against the wall. I didn't do anything wrong. But he did. And he knew it. They charged him with theft and unlawful possession of human remains. Turns out, this wasn't his first collector moment. He'd been warned before by another neighbor for taking yard decorations, even once tried to pull a birdbath out of someone's lawn and claimed it matched the neighborhood's history. I got my mom back. But it wasn't over. I thought it would be over after the arrest. But 2 days later, I got a knock on the door. It was a woman. Early 60s. Neatly dressed, hair pulled tight, holding a purse like it was glued to her. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I'm Dave's sister. I think you and I need to talk." I didn't invite her in. I stood on the porch with the door half closed behind me. She glanced around like she didn't trust the air. "I know what my brother did. And I'm not here to defend him. But you're making a big mistake if you think this is all over." "What's that supposed to mean?" She took a breath. "Dave's always been off. Since we were kids. Obsessed with keeping things. Mementos, objects, pieces of people's lives. He doesn't see it as theft. He sees it as saving pieces of history. It's not the first time." I stared at her. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because he's not going to stop. Not unless you make him. I had him arrested." She shook her head slowly. "That won't stick. His lawyer's already getting things lined up. Claims it was all a misunderstanding. If the urn wasn't damaged and you didn't catch him in the act, he'll spin it." I wanted to scream. "I thought you came to help," I said. "I did," she said, looking down the street. "I came to warn you. He's been keeping journals." "What?" She looked back at me. "He writes things down. Keeps records. Names. Items. Notes about who owns what, how they treat their property. He thinks it's all part of some big historical project. Like he's the town's private museum curator." I felt sick. "He had a notebook," she said. "I saw your mom's name in it. And yours." My jaw locked. "Where is it?" She hesitated. "Still in his house. Probably hidden. If you want it, you better get it before his lawyer buries it or says it's private." I knew what I had to do. The next morning, I went back to the station. Asked for Officer Ramirez. I told him everything, about the journals, about Dave's sister, about the pattern of behavior. He called for a follow-up search warrant. 2 days later, they went through his house again. They found the notebook. It was worse than I imagined. He'd been watching me. My mom. 4 months. Not just watching, documenting. What time lights came on. When trash went out. What she did in the yard. He'd even drawn a crude map of her garden and marked where certain items were worth saving. My name showed up the week she died. She returns. Emotional. Erratic. May abandon site. He had listed the urn. Next to it, one word, retrieve. They charged him again. This time, the judge didn't go easy. The DA saw enough to push for a psychological evaluation and possible felony theft charges. But then something else happened. Someone broke into my mom's house. Nothing stolen. Just messed with. Couch cushions thrown around. Photos taken off the walls. The urn was still safe, but the lid had been removed. I reported it immediately. No prints. No real evidence. But the message was clear. It wasn't just about stuff anymore. After the break-in, I didn't sleep for 2 nights. I kept lights on in every room. I moved the urn into my bedroom and kept it right by my bed. I bought a baseball bat and kept it next to the nightstand. Part of me was ashamed to be so scared. The other part, well, it knew better. Officer Ramirez stayed in touch. No signs of forced entry, he said. Might have been someone with a key. That hit me like a punch. Carl, my mom's late husband, had given keys to a few neighbors years ago, just in case of emergencies. It was possible Dave still had one. Or had made a copy. I called a locksmith that day. Then I changed every lock in that damn house. Front door, back door, even the garage. I added a deadbolt and bought a camera doorbell. I installed security cameras myself, one for every angle. 2 weeks passed. The charges against Dave were still pending. His lawyer kept trying to push for dismissal on grounds of community preservation and misunderstood intentions. But the DA was holding the line, thanks to the notebook. I thought I could start moving on. I thought the worst was behind me. But I was wrong. Late one night, around 3 a.m., I woke up to a sound. Not loud. Just strange. Like a creak. Then another. I got out of bed and checked the camera app on my phone. One of the feeds had gone dark. Back porch. I didn't even think. I grabbed the bat and crept downstairs, heart hammering like it was trying to escape my chest. I flipped on the back lights. Opened the door fast. Nothing. Just the cool night air and the sound of wind in the trees. But then I saw it. The swing set. Gone again. I stared at the empty space where it had stood. I had reinstalled it after the arrest, dragged it back over with a neighbor's help. I had anchored it down. And now, it was gone. The side gate was wide open. I called 911 shaking so hard the phone nearly slipped from my hand. Told them it was him. Had to be. When the cops arrived, they found the swing set dumped on the edge of the woods behind the houses. Dragged there in pieces. Like someone tried to take it but couldn't carry it far enough. And this time, they found something else too. Blood. Just a smear. On one of the boards. And a torn piece of flannel. They followed the trail through the brush, across the wooded patch between our subdivision and the next. They found Dave in a shallow ditch behind a storage facility. He'd tripped or fallen, hard, and broken his wrist. He was clutching his arm and mumbling to himself. I was saving it, they don't understand. They throw everything away, they cuffed him again. This time, it stuck. The DA added trespassing, attempted burglary, and felony vandalism to the list. His mental health evaluation came back a week later, diagnosed obsessive-compulsive hoarding disorder with delusional tendencies. He was committed. Indefinitely. I didn't feel relief right away. Just emptiness. Like the storm passed but left the house hollow. A month later, I packed the urn in a velvet-lined box. Drove it 3 hours to the place Mom always said she wanted to retire, a quiet little town called Hiwassee. I found a peaceful lakefront memorial park and had her ashes buried there with a small headstone. The swing set? I disassembled it. I took one swing, the one with the cracked seat, and hung it on a sturdy tree in the backyard. The rest, I burned. One night, just me and the fire pit. Watched the old wood go up in flames. It hurt. But it also felt like taking back control. People think revenge is some big dramatic act. Sometimes it is. But sometimes, it's just not letting someone keep taking pieces of your life. It's standing your ground, even when no one else believes you. Even when the law fails, and you feel like you're alone. I wasn't out for blood. I just wanted peace. And finally, after everything, after the cops, the courts, the screams and the swing set, I got it. Mom's home was quiet again. So was I.